Thank you for joining us. Tonight we are very proud to be hosting the Performance Rights Society of Kenya CEO, Angela Ndambuki. She's not a stranger to your screens. You remember her from the girl trio of Tattu, and she's with us tonight. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Angela, let's begin with Tattu. You, Debbie, and Angela, how this group was formed, and just going back in the day, how the three of you came together and started this girl group.
Well, we actually started off at Phoenix Players. We were actresses then for the musicals. You know, every year Phoenix used to have a musical at some time when James Falkland was still around, you know, rest his soul. So we actually were friends at Phoenix. So we started off by being dancers. We had a group, you know, called Radar then. And then we found ourselves dancing for Nameless, actually. And then at some point, when the dancing styles changed, because we're more creative dancers, so when the dancing styles changed, you know, you have to shake a bit. We couldn't do that. So we opted to do some singing, because of course Nameless had to keep with the times, you know. So we're always joking about it, but yeah, so we opted to go into singing, because we didn't want to leave the industry, and we loved singing anyway, from the musical stages and all. So we got our first song. I was still in 4th year, I think, I remember, yeah.
4th year campus?
Campus, yes.
Yeah. At the time you're actually studying law. At this time you're juggling this together with being a singer and a dancer.
Yeah. I think I find myself, as much as, you know, law is more of analytical. I feel like my creative side usually just keeps on calling, you know. In fact, the first song, Tattu, I wrote it in, I remember it was a class, public international law or something, but that's why I wrote Tattu, because I was just writing and I was like, oh my goodness. So I hope the lecturer is not hearing, but yeah.
And this was way back when? What year was this?
That was 2003. 2003.
So for those of you who might not quite remember Tattu songs, do you want to take us back in time and sing something little for us?
Woi, woi.
That was one of my favorites, actually. How was the market receiving this girl trio? At the time, we had Nameless, Issa, big male artists that were doing it solo, but this was three of you. How did the market and indeed corporates receive you?
Wow, the reception was great. We can't complain. And, you know, it was, I think, as you say, you know, there weren't girl groups then, at least not many. And we just came in and the song was a hit and it was overwhelming. But, of course, you know, you're young, you have energy. So people were receptive and we were happy about it, yeah.
And the thing with working as a group is that there's likely to be a little bit of friction and tension. How was the relationship between the three of you? Because I know eventually you all went solo and started focusing on your individual careers.
Yes, actually, you know, we were friends, as I said before, so it wasn't so hard for us. Of course, we had our tensions, you know, maybe one person is not coming for rehearsals or all, but when it came to performances, surprisingly, we were all there and we were performing. So we didn't have that much because we were also together, you know, outside just performance, because we were friends and we are still friends, actually. So it wasn't that much of an issue. Let's
talk about you as Angela. You went out and released your solo. It was a collabo, I think. Yes, it was a that was again when everybody started showing signs of individuality and going their separate way. Tell us about this project with Frasha.
Well, yes, actually I think I had another project, but it was a collaboration with like many more artists. Kenya We Pray first.
There was one with Big Soul as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, you know more than me. Yes, I've done actually a couple of collaborations after the group. Okay, we didn't split actually, but it's like we just slowed down, you know. So, because Shinde is the one who wanted to do her own solo, and of course she was the lead singer in the group, and we said, yeah, we had gave her the blessings to go ahead and try her own thing. So, you know, me being me and loving music, I said, yeah, I can also do a few projects by myself. Debbie also was saying she was going to do hers, but she never really got around it. So it's not really that we've split and we're going our separate ways, but just trying our own, stuff, And now we're actually coming back together. But Debbie's not there because she's in the U.S., but she'll eventually come back when Trump does his thing.
So you're an advocate, and we want to get into the conversation around your transition from being a performing artist to now lobbying for the rights of your colleagues in the industry. How Performance Rights Society of Kenya came into being?
That was in 2009. I had actually gone to register with the Music Copyright Society of Kenya, and Maurice was the CEO then, and it was actually just picking up, in terms of registering for being a composer, because I'm the one who used to write the songs. So he told me, performers, singers, musicians, actors don't have rights right now, but we are forming an organization like a collecting society to be able to collect for them, because MCSK was only dealing with copyright issues strictly, which is the composer, author, and publisher. So I was like, yeah, sure, because at that time I was at the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and I was talking passionately about human rights and intellectual property. Then he was like, you know what, come and, come for the interview. I think it was in 2 weeks or something. So I was like, yeah, I'm coming. And for sure I went for the interview. I did my presentation. They loved it. So I got the job. What he didn't tell me was that there was no money to set up, So it was really difficult for the first 2 years, struggling to get the tariffs, setting up everything, I was the messenger, I was the GM, but we pushed on. We had a good team.
PRISK is an umbrella body that comprises of who exactly are you guys catering for the rights of?
We cater for all performers, so both sound recordings, musicians, and audiovisual works, which involves both musicians in terms of music videos and also actors in terms of films and series.
And talking about performance rights, people that are coming into the industry, is there enough information out there regarding their rights, how they should deal with corporates, royalties? Why is it that there's so much lack of clarity as regards what is owed to who and how they should be paid?
Well, Lillian, I think the copyright industry, it's really difficult, unless you study intellectual property law. It's really difficult to understand the segments. You have the musician, or the musician can either be a composer, author, arranger, publisher. You have the performer themselves, the singer, which is split into further background vocalists, instrumentalists. There's all those people who actually own maybe the musical work or the performance in that musical work. And we also have the producer who owns the master of the sound recording. So all those people have to get a share in the music, as one product. So being able to understand that, there are different people that you have to pay for just music, it's one commodity, becomes a challenge. And that's why you find that people are not aware of intellectual property.
A reaction from performers, how have they received the Performance Rights Society of Kenya?
I would say I think our reception from all collecting societies is the best. And from the feedback we get, especially when we do our distribution, the transparency that we're trying to put out there, because we give our members their statements and we show them where the money has come and how we split the money, how much came in, so our audited accounts we send to all members every year. So they're actually happy with that transparency that we're trying. So yes, maybe we might not be collecting as much yet compared to maybe other societies that are ahead of us, but we know we'll get there, and we know that eventually that transparency and accountability, because the foundation is right, that it will just be better, it will just get better for the performers. What is
the narrative from the artists? What are some of the, well, for lack of a better word, atrocities in terms of them feeling like they're being fleeced? What do they say? What do they come to the table saying?
Right now, the biggest issue is the Skiza tunes collections, which is usually done by Safaricom. You find that they're actually coming to us. I receive so many calls almost every day after the court decision last year in Malindi, which rendered the collection by the CMOs was nullified. So the collections of the Skiza royalties now go to the content service providers, and the artists are saying they're not getting their money. Another one, the other judge just told me she was just given a check of 100,000 shillings, while the CMOs had just given her 750. So you see that discrepancy. Where is the other money going?
And by CMOs you mean?
Oh, sorry, the collective management organizations are now PRISK, MCSK, which is the Music Copyright Society, and the Kenya Association of Music Producers. So we are the three that handle music in Kenya. We call them collective management organizations. Did
you face any resistance from bodies or authorities that felt that there were a better authority in as far as performance rights? Did you face any resistance, and how did you deal with that?
Well, to be sincere, we previously did get resistance from our sister society, actually, MCSK, who I think the perception was that they also handle musicians as well, but they actually only handle the people who write the music. So when we came in as the performers, people who handle the musicians, it was hard for them to say, no, we don't handle the musicians. They just wanted to be the ones, the big brother, showing their muscle. But right now we're actually sitting, we're working together to see how we can have even one joint license for the three societies.
Okay, so the distribution of the royalties, this happens quarterly, yearly, monthly. How is this done? And again, what ranges are we looking at in terms of figures?
The distribution we have, it depends on the source of income. For the Skiza distribution, we do it quarterly. So every quarter you find that we disburse some monies now to the people whose logs have come in, and we do it per the logs. It's a pay-for-play principle. As much as it's been downloaded is what we give to the people whose songs have been downloaded. For the others, what we call communication to the public, we now pay the last quarter of the year, every year, and usually the same. We get logs from the broadcasting stations because we have a monitoring system, and we usually, the money that we have, we divide it in all those logs, the recording logs, to get the costs or the amount of money per log, and then we multiply that by the number of times it's played in the year.
Before we move away from the Performance Rights Society of Kenya, wins for you as an organization, what have been the milestones? What are you extremely proud of?
Well, for one, we were the first actually African society to join the international body of the Performers' Rights Societies. That was a big plus for us because it meant that we actually have put in place, measures to ensure that we're transparent, accountable, and run by good governance principles, because you cannot be accepted into these bodies unless you're doing the right thing. So that was big for us. Another big thing now locally was that we are the society actually that is actually paying for insurance for our members. So it's been a big issue with artists, like the late Ojwang, people who are not able to pay for medical, if there's somebody sick, they're not able to pay for them, both actors and musicians. So we have an insurance cover for the members, and at least it covers a bit of money, and it also has a death benefit and inpatient cover.
So your story is remarkable, Angela, because you started off, well, you didn't start off, but you were juggling law and music, and now recently you went to the UK to further your studies. Tell us about that.
Well, for the longest time, I've been saying I'm going to do my master's, over 7 years actually. So 2 years ago, my husband is like, you've been saying this thing, for the longest time. Why don't you just pack your bags and go? So he's like, if you get, I said, if I go, will you guys come with me? Because I have 2 kids. They're little, I wouldn't want to leave them. So he's like, yeah. I think that time he wasn't so sure. He was like, you wouldn't get anything. So in like 2 days, I think I got a course. I was accepted at the University of Edinburgh because I applied, and because I already had papers, because I was, I've been waiting to apply and get somewhere, but luckily I got in. And in fact, they were very excited, as the lecturer had told me, to have me on board because I was the only African in that program. So yeah, I told him, and he was like, oh, okay. So we packed our bags and we took the kids and we went to Scotland for, for my master's program.
In this field, being the first, what has been your mantra? What would you say it's taken for you to achieve this much?
I would say it's For me, it's just God, you know. And I usually say, even with my husband, you know, the things that we can do or we do, it can't be anything else. There has to be a higher power, you know, because you decide on something and you find that things are just happening, you know, and you pray about it. And I believe, you know, with God, anything is possible.